So just to conclude about the Aboriginal situation, since the 40 last years, do you think that the situation has improved, has changed? Is the different thing, like, is the government cares more now than 40 years? Is less racism?
Yeah, I think to this extent, when they recognised that the Indigenous population had native title rights to the land, I think that's a step in the right direction towards providing real acknowledgement, of their place in Australia. But that's only a small step, and all the states now have acts and that which support land rights for the Aboriginals, and they're still going through processes and land grants are continuing. But that's only step one, and when you look at the more remote communities, you'll see some that are, to put it in quotes, as one of the guys said, the people from this community can integrate into anywhere in Australia. He said, but you go down to another community and, there's a different mentality, so maybe all communities have got to, eventually get opportunities, to have the same facilities for education and that as all of them. But housing's a big issue, and it's an issue with both the white community and the Indigenous community, because if you take the price of houses in Sydney, there's no way that any family, guy for family, white, coloured or brindle, can afford a house if you've got a couple of kids. No one can earn enough money to pay $1 million for a house and raise a family. So really, Australia's Sydney's in a big problem, and even a place like Cairns, I think the houses are starting to get fairly dear, all the things. But it's so if the young people are prepared to come to a place like Cairns, which is a growth area, houses are cheaper than that, put up with the wet season, get a good air conditioner or something like that. Well, I suppose that's the future, but housing in Australia seems to me to be much too dear for the amount of land we got. Something's gone wrong somewhere.
And even in Alice Springs, a lot of people think that the government give a lot of money, but he gives a lot of money, but after he doesn't care. He thinks that government will resolve all the problem, and social people working for Aboriginal think that they more need help than restriction and money like this. You understand?
What do they?
That
the money.
Government just give money and don't help.
Yeah, it's just they're trying to do a number of things. One of the things they try to do is say, right, well, we won't give you money, we'll give you the resources, so we'll give you chips to go and buy food, so you can't waste your money on grog or something like that. But that takes off some human rights. I don't think that that's a solution, but in some cases it might be an option, that can be taken. But there's a long term, so I really don't know. It's beyond me to work out, to try and get some solution. I hadn't seen the northern Indigenous way of life and that, and I was quite surprised, that they're a lot lower than what, less advantage than what I ever considered that they would have been.
And when you were at school, when you were young, what did you learn about Aboriginal people? the true in the I don't know in the 60s the government wanted to hide the bad point that they did.
Yeah, I don't think we were just very English history orientated. Settlement was a good thing, and I don't think that the Aboriginals were mentioned much in New South Wales, you know. But where I lived at Casino, I have some clear memories that across the Richmond River, across the river, there was an Aboriginal community, and it was there near a place called Grays Falls, and then all of a sudden it wasn't there, you know, so they just shipped all those people, you know, somewhere else, and so Casino never had an Aboriginal problem after that. I don't know what they did with them, but it obviously wasn't fair and humane thing that was going on there. But it wasn't anything that anyone spoke about, you know, so it just happened, you know. I thought, reflecting on it when I got older, I always thought things, you know, we need to do a little bit more to make up for a lot of the things that we did in the name of progress and settlement to the Aboriginals. We just cast them aside, basically. So, I don't know. You know, Australia don't seem to have much of a social conscience about it, you know, and that's just the way I suppose we were educated, that we were doing the right thing, you know, that this was a land that needed to be settled. They don't say conquered, they just say settled. And really, I suppose it was conquered.
And stop talking about Aboriginal. It's
Oh,
okay.
right, yeah.
But it was really interesting. Thank you very much. Why do you think that Australia is still a very rich country? Is it thanks to mining?
Sorry, is it?
Why Australia is a big rich country?
Well,
If it's
we just by luck, we kind of roll from when I was younger. You know, the wool clip, you know, was the big thing, and so the rural community was supplying a lot of support, you know, so that kept the economy bubbling along, so our industry, you know, whether it was efficient or not, you know, could operate and everyone had jobs, and it was quite good. So when the wool died, you know, the diversification, you know, for example, now all of a sudden coal and iron are skyrocketing, and so we just dig up the coal and we dig up the iron, and that keeps, you know, the balance of payments rolling along and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's more, I have some difficulty with good government management. I think it's more luck, and the country's got such a diversity, you know. It's got good agriculture in certain areas, it's got bloody great deserts in the middle. If you do the travelling, that makes it interesting, you know. 90% of it's arid, or 60% of the continent's arid, and how they work a living even on grazing properties out there makes you wonder. But I think Australia's got a good education system, so we all, you know, got an opportunity to be educated, and I think that's important for any country if they want to progress and continue with a standard of living and gross national product and whatever else they ramble on the economy. That no, I've just been lucky. I just kind of grew up in a place called Australia, and, you know, born in a place called Casino. Never had a worry basically in my life, and, you know, just went to work and, you know, never been out of a job, and retired and get a pension. You know, life was, you know, always lived on the beaches, never really had any major problems or setbacks, you know, so always had good friends and that, you know, and just kind of bumble through life, the same as Australia seems to bumble through. I don't know if it's luck or good judgment, but when we look at our politicians, I'm pretty sure it can't be good judgment.
But when when you even in the 70s and 80s, 90s, the growth of Australia was already good. Australia became rich only 10 or 20 years ago.
Well, we had a pretty firm immigration policy, you know, so admittedly it was restricted to Europeans and all that sort of stuff, but here nor there, but the immigration has been the biggest benefit to Australia, so we're not stuck with just English or Irish and that, but you know, I'm English-Irish essentially there. But then, we've got Europeans and now we've got, you know, all sorts of nationalities here now, and Asians, you know, big Asians communities in Australia, always Chinese from the gold years and that. We get good visitations from the Asian communities and that, you know, so I think the mixture of, you know, after a couple you can't tell the difference, it's just the names, you can't pronounce or spell their names. That's there, you say, oh, well, what's your oldest? You know, I'm Border or something like that, you know, so it's interesting. Australians got a good variety of people, I think, you know, will eventually in the melting pot just come out Aussie.